Howdy, guys. Welcome to Cliff Notes and welcome to a recap of Survivor Season 43, Episode 4. Day number 9 on the island. We've already had so much happen. We have a lot happen in this episode as well. So let's get right into it. Now, first of all, as a little bit of a refresher from last week, we lost NECA from the Red Tribe, the Vesi tribe. And they are now down to 4 members only. They are the smallest of the 3 tribes that we've got out on the island. 4 tribe mates: Jesse, Cody, Noel, and Dwight. Now, remember, last week you had kind of a 3-person alliance of Jesse and Cody and NECA. Well, NECA's gone, so now you're down to a 2-person alliance of Jesse and Cody. And then on the other side, you have Noel and Dwight kind of working together. So now you got 2 groups of 2 over in that island. Justine has a steal a vote that may help her get somewhere down the road. Cody has an idol, which could protect him, which could mean trouble for Jesse if Vesi makes it back to another tribal council before merge, before the next twist happens. We'll see what happens. So with that being said, let's talk about what happened on tonight's episode. Well, as expected, we start off the episode with Vesi returning from tribal council. Cody is explaining, pretty much just to us, the cameras. Cody's explaining that even though he was tight with NECA, he still sent her home. He did what it took to keep the tribe safe. I'm really curious to see if this is going to come back and bite him at some point in the future. But he did send NECA home. They do, all of them, talking around the campfire. No campfire, because they have no flint. They're mentioning that they still don't have flint. They don't have fire. They don't have food. And this is 2 tribals they've been to in a row. So they're saying we've probably been without fire longer than any other tribe ever on Survivor. Maybe. Seems like there are a few tribes that had some losing streaks like this. But certainly they're feeling very uncomfortable sitting around the tribe without that food, without the flint, without a single luxury, as Gilligan would say, right? And it just made me wonder, these conditions, the fact that they're so miserable right now, that they don't have the fire and such, is that part of the reason that maybe made Cody place tribal strength as a greater priority over his 3-person alliance that seems like he could have then maybe gone after Noel at that point in time? I don't know. Maybe the lack of comforts swayed his decision a little bit. Because they're so miserable, he's that much more focused on keeping this tribe as strong as possible. Could be. I certainly understand it. All right. So we do have them talking about that. Meanwhile, over at the Baka tribe, the Yellow tribe, 5 members left on this tribe. We see Gabler placing palm fronds on sleeping tribe mates. He's really irritating them more than making them comfortable. He tells them, says, look, it's cold. I'm trying to cover y'all up a little bit. Well, he puts it on Sammy, and I think it's Ellie. Says, yeah, no, I'm good. Don't worry about me, Gabler. And it shows Sammy saying, oh, yeah, I'm so comfortable now with this palm frond blanket. It's just old crinkly palm fronds. Doesn't do anything at all. Gabler is trying. His heart's in the right place. He's trying to fit in with everyone else in the tribe. As the older guy in this group, I know he's trying to go over and beyond just to try to fit in as much as he can. So he's making the effort, but he's perhaps trying a little bit too hard. And we do see that perhaps he's starting to rub the rest of the tribe a little bit the wrong way, whether it's the palm fronds, whether it's how to start fires. Just doesn't seem like he's jiving real well with the rest of the tribe. Now, he does have this immunity idol, which is good for one more tribal that they go to. So he's safe at least one more time. After that, Gabler maybe needs to be a little bit careful. But we also get the quick little blurb of Gabler talking to doing a confessional to the camera, saying, look, I still have a grudge. I still don't trust Ellie. Because she went through my bag. So he says, she's upset with me maybe, but I'm upset with her. There's certainly some friction within the Baka tribe. We'll see when that plays out, how it plays out. And with that, we quickly go to the reward challenge. Not nearly as much talk as we've had in some episodes, which is always a good sign that you got a lot of action-packed everything taking place. And on this particular reward challenge, we see that the challenge consists of another obstacle course, puzzle type situation. Well, actually, no puzzles in this one. I'm just getting used to it. They have to throw sandbags. One person from each tribe has to throw sandbags at a bunch of different size blocks that are sitting up on a ledge. Picture the old carnival where you're knocking over the milk bottle, something like that. You have to, one person from each tribe has to throw the sandbags until all the blocks are knocked off. Now, once they do that, they then have to take two of the bigger blocks and move them across the sand. Basically, pretend like this is the game show Floor is Lava. Can't touch the sand. You have to walk on these two blocks while you're balancing on one, kick the other one with your foot, and just keep stepping on these blocks till you get to the far end, to the target area. Once you've done that, then the rest of the tribe is released. Remember, there's only 4 people playing for each tribe, since that's the size of Vesi at this point. Once the first person has made it to the end, and the other tribe mates each have to get a sandbag, throw it on one of 3 hanging discs, get it to land on the disc. Once that's happened, they win reward. Now, in this particular situation, there's none of that. The first 2 tribes that win get something. Now, this is take it or leave it. This is all for the winners only. First place, 1 prize only. It's a pretty good one. The winner gets 10 fresh fish. Without the rice being provided, as we've seen in past seasons, food becomes so much more of a nice little reward. So they get 10 fresh fish and a little bit extra, which turns out to be an even bigger reward. And that is this. They get to pick one of the other 2 tribes, send one person to one of those other 2 tribal camps, and take anything they want. One item. Take one item they can raid, steal from the other tribe. Anything they want, except for a flint. Not allowed to take the flint, but anything else goes. It's pretty big. First of all, it means that you not only do you get to take something that you need, you get to hurt another tribe by taking something that maybe they really can't afford to lose. But you also get to see what one of the other camps look like, how well they've done, and such. So it's a pretty big reward. It's going to be very interesting. Now, as I mentioned, because Vesi's down to 4 players, 4 players are going to compete for each of the tribes. So we end up with getting James and Lindsay sitting out for the Blue Cocoa tribe, and then Baca has Ellie sitting out as they begin competition. So it starts off throwing sandbags, trying to knock the blocks off. It's Ryan and Sammy and Cody. So 3 of the more muscular guys are making these throws. As you would expect, Cody is killing this portion. He's throwing it fast. He's accurate. I think Probst calls him out, says, "Oh, you're like a major league pitcher at this point in time." I think Cody's tired of not having food or flint or anything else back at camp. He's playing as though his life depends on it. He's knocking these blocks off very quickly. Sammy's following up behind him a little bit, and then way behind we've got Ryan, not doing so well throwing the blocks off, but Cody eventually knocks them all off first, manages to make it against the sand is lava type segment of this competition, gets to the end of that first. At that point, it's depending on the rest of the tribe to land their sandbags. Now, Vesi, who gets to the end first, pretty quickly lands their first 2 sandbags. They've only got 1 left to go. And as it turns out, not always working so well. Dwight is having major problems with that last sandbag. It's a fairly small disc, and he just can't get it to land. The music's ramping up. We're getting nervous. We see the other 2 tribes quickly catching up to them. Eventually, all 3 tribes are all pitching sandbags. The others have landed 1 or 2. Is Dwight going to do it? Is he going to be the GOAT, or is he going to be the GOAT? One way or the other. Well, as it turns out, he does it. Dwight lands the last sandbag. Vesi wins. They needed it. I think just from a morale standpoint, they needed this victory. They're incredibly happy. So they win 10 free fish. Now, unfortunately, they don't have any fire back home, and they don't have a flint. They get the flint with this reward, right? No, Jeff Probst wouldn't be that nice. No, they do not get they do not get flint. They questioned who, I can't remember who it was that asked they asked Noelle, said, "Hey, you're okay with sushi, right?" And she said, "No, we're not doing sushi. We're not doing it." So they get 10 free fish, they get 10 fish, but they don't have anything to cook it with. And at this point, we hear about a whole new rule that in 43 seasons of Survivor, I've never heard about before. I'm sure they didn't just make it up on the fly, right? They wouldn't do that. No, I'm sure it's been out there the whole time. We just never thought to ask the question. Now, it turns out that there is a rule in place that if they want to give up the reward that they've just won, they can exchange that reward for one of the rewards that's been given to one of the other tribes in one of the past episodes of the season. I got to think, I haven't gone back and watched all of the seasons. I got to think if that rule's in place, there's a lot of reward winnings that I easily would give up in exchange for some of the stuff that happened in the first few episodes. Tarps and tools and all kinds of pizza parties, all kinds of. So anyway, with that being said, they do decide to give up the 10 fish. They want something that's a little bit easier to cook without a fire. So they've instead chosen to get the reward that was handed out now one of the last couple of weeks. That's a fruit basket and a tools basket. Sounds like a pretty nice trade-off to me. So they still get to go raid one of the other camps, steal something from one of those other camps. But at least they do have a lot of fruit that they can eat and some tools and such. So I think they came out pretty well on that particular little trade-off there. Now, I did have a question. They can take anything but flint from one of the other camps, right? Could they have gone to another camp and taken all of their embers from their fire, taken that back and used that to start their own fire? Yeah, it may be a loophole that Survivor wasn't going to allow, but just something went through my mind. All right, so they now have a lot of fruit. They're already very happy, but a huge decision now has to be made. What camp do they go to? What do they take? And who is going to that camp to make the actual steal, make the actual raid? Well, again, we find at this point only one person gets to go. It's not the whole tribe. And it made me think from a strategy standpoint. If you're the person selected, you potentially make the other tribe mad at you if you steal something very valuable like a pot or machete, especially machete. If you're the one that shows up and you take it, they may hold that against you if that happens. So could you, instead of taking something big, take something minor, something that keeps the rest of your tribe happy, but take something a little more minor and tell everyone else there that, hey, instead of taking something big, I'm going to take this little something. Y'all watch out for me when we get to merge, which got to be coming up quick, right? If I take something a little less than that, will y'all give me some protection at all? Maybe build up some goodwill before the merge occurs, and your tribe maybe won't even hear about it until the merge happens, and then they'll all hear about it. There's no secrets in this game. So I don't know. I thought about that as well. It certainly could be some real advantage to you being the person that gets to go to that other tribe, as long as you don't make them mad. So I wondered about that. And if you aren't the person from Vesi going to make the raid, do you worry about what that person may do or say while they're at the other campsite? Yeah, I think I think that's absolutely the case. And as Dwight notices in a second, that's exactly what he's thinking. I think if I'm on Vesi, to keep something like that from happening, I'm going to make sure that whoever goes to the other camp, we're all in agreement before we ever go over there exactly what we're going to take. No switchies, nothing else. You better come back with what we've all agreed with, or your name's mud. Something I thought about it as they get into it. Does it happen like that? Well, we're about to find out. All right. We eventually see them discussing this. Cody and Dwight are both seeming to be willing to go on the raid to actually conduct the business with one of the other tribes. Dwight saying, I think I may be a little more political than you are, Cody, but Cody's also very forceful in his opinions. He really wants to do it. Dwight eventually tells the camera kind of some of what I just mentioned, that he knows Cody's very charismatic. He just doesn't know what Cody's going to actually do while Cody's at this other camp, what kind of conversations he may have. Dwight's worried about it. And I think he has a lot of justifications to worry about as well. Talking about what they're going to take. Cody at first is thinking that maybe they should go to the Baka tribe, the yellow tribe, take their fishing gear. But then he starts saying, well, maybe we need to really go for the jugular, make a huge blow. We're shorter, we're smaller than anyone else. He's saying, maybe go get the machete from Coco. The most important item from the biggest tribe with the most people that may hold a grudge against you. Cody's willing to take some chances in even making this offer. So they're talking about it, but Jesse's saying, look, he and Noel and Dwight, they're wanting to be a little nicer to the other tribe. They don't want to make enemies right now. And they feel like that's what's going to happen if something like that happens. What's going to happen? We don't know. We see Cody eventually getting on the boat, heading off. We don't know where he's going. We don't know what he's going to take just yet. Now, Cody does say at one point, he said, look, it's not as much what we're getting as much as what we're inflicting on them that's important with this. And I think that's a very strong point. It's not just a reward for you, it's a punishment for someone else. How do you handle that? Cody's got some plans. So eventually we see that Cody has arrived at the blue tribe, the Cocoa tribe, the big tribe. Does that mean he's going to go for the juggler as he talked about before? Well, he tells them as soon as he gets off the boat, he says, look, I came with the intent to take the machete. And he's pretty good because he tries to shuffle the blame off to someone else on his tribe. He says, I'm not the strategist in my group. I'm just the messenger. Little on me, I don't have any control over what's going on, guys. They pick me. I'm over here just because I had to come over. So don't hold it against me when I take y'all's machete. So he immediately has them on a bit of the defensive while he's kind of deflecting any blame for himself. He's saying, I came to take the machete, but if there's something else, I don't want to be mean to y'all. If there's something else that y'all could offer me instead, I'll deal with it when I get back to camp, whatever. I just don't want to be that mean to y'all. Cody is smart. He says, I'm a salesman. You never offer what you actually want in the beginning. He's right. The salesman's coming out on Cody because now he's got them all worried that he's going to take their machete. Next thing you know, they're making all kinds of offers to Cody about things that he could take instead. In fact, eventually, in agreeing not to take the machete, they have agreed to give him multiple items. They've given him their fishing kit, which is fishing spears, goggles, fins, etc. They've given him some kind of, I don't know what, cassava root or some kind of root that you can grind up and eat like sweet potatoes or something, I guess. And they've given them a whole handful of limes. I don't know if those limes came from one of their rewards or they gathered it somewhere in the jungle by their island, their beach. Not real sure. But what I do know, now he didn't get the machete, but he got all kinds of other stuff instead. Not only did he get all kinds of other stuff, but he left the island with everyone saying, he did take our machete. He slacked off. He gave us a little benefit. He's a little nicer than he needed to be. He actually has the tribe not really upset with him, even as he takes all this stuff. Kind of a win-win situation for Cody. So well done, Cody. Now we do see Cara saying, we gave him more stuff than even he could have just claimed. We just offered him more stuff. She said, I kind of feel like we got played. Yeah, you kind of did, Cara. But Cody got all kinds of stuff. We did not get the chance to see what happened back on their beach when he showed back up. The rest of the tribe's got to be pretty happy with everything he showed up with, right? You would think so. So well done, Cody. Now, with all that being said, it's time for the immunity challenge. This is going to be a good one. It's going to be an important one. It's so interesting because you've got one tribe of 4, one tribe of 5, one tribe of 6. If Vesi doesn't win this week, if they're down to 3 tribe mates, we've seen in a past Survivor season where you got down to just 2 people on a tribe. But I got to think, you want to see a little balance, right? Are we going to get it? Well, we're about to find out. So the immunity challenge itself, 4 per tribe. We again have people sitting out. So 4 contestants per tribe. They now have to run forward, knock a lot of very heavy 40, 50-pound sandbags off a ledge, jump over the ledge, run to another ledge, do the same thing. Do that 3 or 4 times until finally the last ledge buried underneath the big old heavy sandbags is a set of keys. Someone grabs a set of keys, you unlock a net. Once you unlock a net, you can kind of hold it up. It's a long net close to the ground. And each of the 4 people has to grab a fairly big, 2 foot by 3 foot, 3 foot by 4 foot puzzle piece, drag it under the net. Once everyone gets to the far end, get these puzzle pieces out. Each of them are in their own bag, tied up with all kinds of complicated granny knots. Untie the bag. Once you've done that, then 2 members of the team of 4, 2 of them have to assemble these 4 pieces into a square shape. It's a tanagram. I think they call it, right? Tanagram. They have to form the puzzle so it's the shape of a square. Once they do that, it's not over. Now, once they do that, they then have to take the puzzle apart, go up a cargo net, up another 20-foot tall platform or so. Once they get to the top of the platform, they then have to use the same 4 puzzle pieces. But now, instead of a square, they have to form the shape of a triangle. Once they form the triangle, that's it. Competition's over. They're safe. First 2 teams that form both puzzles, finish up, are safe. Last place team go into tribal council. sending home the fourth person for the season itself. So pretty complicated uh, competition. I tell you what, I really like Survivor. The fact they've got some really hard physical parts of these competitions, but I love the puzzle elements that's coming into play so much, and the skills, the reward challenge. I had to throw the sandbags onto the disc. It's not just about physical strength, and I like seeing that. All right, so with that being said, we start off. Well, let's talk about who set out for Cassidy. For the Coco, we've got Cassidy and Gio sitting out, and then for Baca, we've got Cassidy and Gio sitting out for Coco, and then Janine sitting out for Baca. Just in case you're curious. Start off the competition. They knock all the blocks over. Vesi, Red Tribe, they're on a roll. They won the reward challenge. They're the first under the net as well, followed by Baca, the Yellow Tribe, Blue Tribe, strongest, biggest tribe, following up the rear at this point in time. They start solving the first puzzle. 4 pieces. It's just 4 pieces, right? Yeah, it's a little harder than that sounds. 4 pieces, form a square with it. And who solves the puzzle first? Well, Owen and Ellie of the Baca tribe solve it first, the Yellow tribe. So they've actually gone ahead of Vesi. They solve the puzzle first. Vesi is right behind them, though, by not too much. They're both heading up the ramp, the cargo net, to get to the next platform. Ryan and Cara, they just don't seem to be figuring out this puzzle for the Blue tribe, for Coco tribe. Now, the first 2, as soon as they solved the puzzle, man, they knocked it over. They did not want anyone else copying what they had done. And the blue team needs some copying taking place right now because they're just not making it work. They're having some issues with it. So at this point in time, at least for a couple of tribes, we're on to the second puzzle using the same pieces, make a triangle shape. And eventually Coco does get up as well. So now you've got all 3 tribes working on their puzzles at the same time. But Vesi's got too much of a well, I say that. It's actually Vesi took the lead, and I said Vesi. I think it was I actually think it was Vesi first under the net, but then Baca solves it first. And I believe that Vesi came back from behind. Vesi actually solved the triangle first. They've won immunity. They won reward challenge. Now they've won immunity. And they've got fishing gear back at home. Now they're going to get Flint. So Vesi, from going from the very bottom, riding a high right now, doing pretty well. So Vesi is won. Now it's going to come down to Coco or Baca. Who's going to come in second place, stay safe? Well, an interesting turn of events happens right here. I love seeing it. Vesi or Baca seems to be doing okay, but they just haven't quite figured out the puzzle yet. Coco's getting closer. They're working on it as well. In fact, at one point, I thought Coco had it figured out, and it didn't work out. I think Vesi realizes that maybe Coco's close to finishing it up as well. So next thing you know, Noelle and the rest of Vesi is helping Baca solve their puzzle, saying, no, turn that piece around the other way, flip it upside down, do this, do that. They're helping Baca finish up, and it works. Baca has come in second place, which means the Coco, the blue team, with 6 tribe mates, is going to tribal council for the first time. But just as importantly, that these 2 tribes are safe this week, it's certainly suggesting that there could be a heck of an alliance. When we do get to merge, there could be a heck of an alliance between Baca and Vesi against this blue team that has seemed very dominant, has not been to tribal yet, done very well. Well, now suddenly you got these other 2. They work together now. If you're Baca and you win one of these next challenges and you have to do something to one of the other tribes, like the raid that happened this week, are you going to go after Vesi? Nah, you're not, because they just helped you win this competition. You're going to go after Coco. I think both these tribes are going to work closer and closer together. When the merge happens, I can easily see these 2 having a reason and excuse to gang up against Coco. So long term, this is a worst case situation for blue team for Coco. Short term, it's not great either, because they're going to have to go to tribal council. All right, so who's at risk at this point in time? Well, Ryan has to be safe. Ryan is such a beast. He was grabbing these pieces and just lifting them, throwing up on the platform, throwing the pieces up on the platform. I think he's got to be safe because he's such an asset to this team. I think the women had agreed earlier to watch out for each other. Now, whether they still do or not, we're not sure. But at least at one point, the three women were seeming to watch out for each other, but so were the guys as well. And then you had kind of this inner group as well. Gio and Cara, at least at one point, because they both had talked about some of their experiences coming out and things like that, felt like they had some connections as well. So they haven't been to tribal. We don't know where the true loyalties lie just yet. But I got to say this. If I'm Lindsay or Cara or Cassidy, I'm going to be pointing out to the other two ladies that, hey, every person eliminated so far on these other two tribes have been women. Right now, there are 9 men in this game and 6 women. Do we really want to be cutting it down yet again? I would be playing the gender up so much if I was one of those three, based on what's happened on the other tribe. And again, they had talked about working together before, so we'll see what happens. Now, we do hear when they get back to camp, Ryan almost immediately is talking to the camera, saying that he trusts Gio and James the most out of anyone. Again, against the three guys, the three women, and he's saying that he really trusts the other two guys the most. Gio is saying, look, Cassidy's got to be the target. She doesn't really bring much to the tribe. I don't trust her. I think Cassidy needs to go. Hadn't heard any discussion before this. It just seems like maybe he just kind of decided to go after Cassidy as opposed to someone else, and that the other two guys are just kind of like, yeah, okay, as long as it didn't us, sure, whatever. It doesn't really seem like they're so dedicated to that, but if that's who Gio wants, they're willing to go along with it. So Gio has made the decision that Cassidy needs to go. He does tell Cara that as well. Is Cara going to side with Gio, or is she going to side with the ladies in terms of the voting itself? We don't know yet. But meanwhile, while the three guys are talking about this, the three ladies start talking, and they've decided that Gio's just being a little bossy around camp. He's just kind of thinking he runs the show, and that maybe it's time to go after Gio. So Gio's going after Cassidy. The three women are willing to go after Gio itself. And just as Gio tried to bring Cara in with the three guys to create a voting block of 4, now the three ladies are trying to bring in James onto their side and create a voting block of 4 against Gio. So yeah, we got a lot of spider webs of alliances taking place right now. It does seem, after all these conversations that are taking place, seems like Cara's maybe a little more attached to the women. And even though she had this heartfelt conversation with Gio earlier in the season, seems like maybe Cara's planning more to go after Gio, send one of the guys out the door at this point in time. Until you start getting a little paranoia going on this island. Lindsay in particular. Lindsay's safe. I kind of thought maybe her name would get mentioned as soon as I saw them going to tribal, but then when Gio decided Cassidy, it seemed like maybe Lindsay dodged the bullet. But she's getting paranoid, which is never good. She's worried that she could be the target. She's telling her allies, Cara and James, she's saying, look, I don't know that y'all better not be playing me. I'm going to come back and get you if you're lying to me. I can't trust anyone out here. She's so paranoid. She's showing so little faith in the people she's supposed to be working with that she's really jeopardizing her own game at this point. I get it. Having played a game like this, I know what it's like to just get so paranoid. You got nothing to do but let the old brain spin, and next thing you know, you're just getting more and more nervous. That's what's happening to Lindsay now. It is not helping her game whatsoever. But we see James and Cara walking alone. They're realizing that they really are the swing votes at this point in time, that it could be Gio, it could be Cassidy, it could be Lindsay because of her paranoia. But they know that they probably control which way this thing is going to go right now. And as they talk, Cassidy suddenly seems like she's moved off the target list, and it really is going to come down to either Gio or Lindsay. And again, it's just Lindsay being paranoid that's got her into that position. So with all of that, we're on to tribal. During the tribal, they talk right up until it was time to go to tribal when the sun set, that they ran out of time or they would have still been talking. The first tribal's got to be the toughest one because you just don't know who you can trust until those votes have been said. And I think maybe it was Lindsay. I can't remember which of maybe it's Cass. One of the women during tribal said, the only way you show loyalty and trust is with your vote. So once that happens, we'll know a little bit more. But at this point, everything's very much up in the air. As soon as the conversation starts, or at least the part we see, Lindsay is calling out Ryan. She's not calling him out by name, but it's very obvious to everyone who she's calling out when she says, some people just didn't want to talk to me. They very much made it clear they didn't want to talk to me. And he's saying, well, I didn't know that she wanted to talk that much and all that. Her calling out Ryan, I don't think it's helping her case whatsoever at this point in time. But she does recover a little bit, because later in the tribal, she acknowledges. She said, look, I've gotten so paranoid. I've probably overplayed. I've probably worried more than I should. And it's made me paranoid, and I have to trust in the people that I need to trust. And so she's doing what she can, but is it too late? No. Gio talks at one point, says, look, at this point in time, I just want to keep my people calm. I just have to keep my people calm. And I think as Cassidy says, well, the water may look calm above, but underneath there could be all kinds of churning going on and everything else, which is fair enough. But it made me think, when Gio says, I've got to keep my people calm, that would make me nervous if I don't consider myself to be one of his people. If I don't feel like he's reached out to me, then Gio's made it very clear that he sees a well-defined group that's his group, and then others who are not his group. And if you don't feel tight with Gio, that makes me nervous when he's talking about keeping his people calm and all of that. So I'm not sure that's exactly the statement I would have made if I was Gio, but he's making it clear there's some divisions in this tribe right now. So with all that being said, it's time for tribal council. No advantages are played, no idols, nothing else. It's a straightforward vote. First vote we get is for Cassidy, which came from Gio. Remember, Gio was wanting target Cassidy originally. First vote is for Cassidy. Next vote is for Gio, which came from Cassidy. She's just as happy to get him out as he's happy to get her out. One vote Cassidy, one vote Gio. Next vote, Lindsay. Next vote, Lindsay. Next vote, Lindsay. Yeah, the rest of the votes are all for Lindsay. Lindsay is gone. First person voted off the Coco, the Blue Tribe. Fourth person voted out of Survivor 43. And it was her own doing. I truly think if she had not acted so nervous, so paranoid, she would have been okay. It would have been either Gio or Cassidy. It probably would have been Gio, I think. But she acted too paranoid. It cost her. It's unfortunate. I don't know that she'll realize that until she watches the episode tonight. But it really was her own fault. The lesson for Survivor or for Big Brother, any of these type of shows, if your allies don't think that you trust them, if you start looking undependable to them, it gives them an excuse to cut you loose. Rather than ride with someone that you don't think you can trust, let them go now. Find some new connections early in the game, and I think that's what happened. Lindsay just showed that she couldn't be trusted at this point because she was so nervous and paranoid, and so they let her go. So yeah, it's rough. Now, repercussions of this tribal vote. Well, obviously Gio voted for Cassidy and vice versa. So the two of them, I think, are probably going to be at odds with each other. We'll see how that works out. The rest of the tribe all went against Lindsay, so they may be a little tighter. It's going to be who's the better speaker, Cassidy or Gio? Who's going to be able to grab the rest of them, pull them into their side? We'll find out. Is it amazing? We've lost 4 women and we still have 9 men out there. 9 men, 5 women left. I'm telling you, if I'm out there and I'm one of the women, I'm going to be harping on that the entire time going forward. It seems like it's a way to help protect yourself a little bit more. We'll see if it comes into play, if it's even noticed or talked about. Guys, it was another action. We're only 9 days in, and so much has happened. It was a fun episode. Enjoyed it, watched it, loved every bit of it. I will be back next Wednesday to talk about episode 5. We'll see what repercussions happen with that. Until then, y'all have a fantastic week. SKD143. Cheers, my friends.